Okay, so we will get started. Welcome everyone this evening. Today is Thursday, September 9th, 2021. It is 7:04 p.m. This is a meeting of the Pioneer Valley Regional School District School Committee. This meeting is being recorded by Bernardston-Northfield Community Television for a live broadcast and future broadcasts. A link to view the school committee agenda is available on our website at www.k12.org, or you can view it at facebook.com/BNCTV. The public is welcome to attend in person or via Google Meet, but that in the event of an issue with the Google Meet, the public meeting in person shall continue to proceed. This meeting is being held both in person and via Google Meet in accordance with the Governor of Massachusetts' March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. So I will call the meeting to order with a roll call vote. So you can go ahead and start.
Stephanie Winslow, Northfield here.
Judy Milton Bernardston, present.
Karen O'Neill Leiden, present.
Nathan Schwartz, Warwick here.
Jim Bell, present.
Alan Genovese, Warwick, present.
Michelle Jeruso, Leiden here.
Raina Dastu, Northfield here.
Robin Knight, Leiden here.
Mike Townsley, Bernardston here.
David Young here.
Okay, and Jim Bell is here. Yep. All right, excellent. So first order of business here this evening is our citizens' comments. I was told that we have two citizens here that would like to address the committee. First one here is Miss Delabrewer. I'm sorry if I misspoke. Nope, I don't see her here this evening. Okay. And she's not on our, let me just make sure she's not here on the Google Meet. Okay.
Can you spell that last name?
Sure. D-E-L-A, B as in boy, R-U-E-R-E. You're welcome. And then is Miss Walter here? Wonderful. Yep, you can come on up. If you could please just state your name again and which town that you live in.
My name is Judy Walter, and I live in Northfield, and I have custody of my granddaughter who's 6 and is in first grade at Northfield Elementary. And I'm grateful that her teacher is vaccinated. But I'm here to request that all school staff be vaccinated against COVID. We've been fortunate to have a relatively normal summer. However, when we look at the rest of the country, we see that it isn't just COVID now. COVID is mild compared to Delta. Then there's Lambda, and there's Mu, and there's all the other variants that are far more contagious than the old-fashioned COVID. In the hospitals, 95% of the COVID patients are not vaccinated. And the 5% that are vaccinated are mostly people with serious underlying health conditions. 25% of the people testing positive are children. Children under 12 still can't be vaccinated, as you know. The people who are dying of COVID in the hospital or very ill aren't saying, I wish I'd worn my mask. They're saying, I wish I'd been vaccinated. Masks are not sufficient to prevent the spread of the variants. Even N95s are not sufficient. In hospitals and nursing homes, all staff has to be vaccinated. Every federal employee has to be vaccinated. Most corporations in this country are requiring all of their employees to be vaccinated. even in this area, where we have still have a relatively low rate, many of the restaurants, bars, music venues are requiring people to be vaccinated. You can't travel without being vaccinated. Yet we have teachers who are not required to be vaccinated, who have contact with our children who cannot be vaccinated. And this is it's just illogical. I don't want to see the schools closed down again. I don't want to have to be homeschooling my child again. And most of the parents don't. I'm retired, at least. People who are working are incredibly compromised in the quality of their life. Even most of the insurance companies are no longer going to be covering the care of COVID patients if they're unvaccinated. So doesn't it make sense to require all people in schools where they spend 6 or more hours a day with children to be vaccinated?
Thank you very much for your time, for your
Oh,
comments.
one other thing.
Sure.
In this state, it's not required yet. Several states have already required all teachers and school staff to be vaccinated. Washington State, Oregon State, New York State, I believe New Jersey. Many school districts are taking it in their own hands because the states are no longer requiring it. Los Angeles, Denver, Chicago, I believe, and many others. We don't have to wait for the state to do it. And teachers are already dying. Thousands of students are quarantined at home. Hundreds of schools have already closed. We don't have to be behind the ball, we should be ahead of the ball. Because without a doubt, it's already here. There's already people in the hospital. Bay-State has a lot of people hospitalized now with COVID. Bay-State and Greenfield does as well. It is here. It's not rampant yet, largely because the majority of people are vaccinated. But all teachers of all the employees in the country, they're the most crucial to be vaccinated, especially because children can't be.
Thank you very much. Okay. So next here on our agenda, we did have minutes here to approve. Later on this afternoon.
Later on this afternoon, we've gone backwards here.
No, I hadn't finished my thought.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So later on this afternoon, Ms. Harding was able to send a message to Joanne and me that she had not completed the minutes. So we will have them for our next meeting. I could even potentially send them out ahead of time of the next meeting, that way, because there will be quite a bunch.
Then Karen can proof
Sorry, Jeannie?
Then Karen can proof them.
Right. Okay.
I thought I read in NASC that we should have minutes in a timely manner within X amount of meetings, so, I mean, I'm not keeping track, but I just wanted to say that we really shouldn't be accepting 3 to 5 at a time.
There was a personal circumstance that came up, so
Okay.
she is aware that they should be timely, just in this case. It was out of her control, so. But we can make that, certainly.
Yeah, well, and I also want to point out that we did get caught up. It was
Yeah.
moving along nicely. And you can see it's all scrunched together in a small time period. So
We had
when there's an event that happens, it's understandable.
Yes.
That,
We had an abundance of meetings in a very short period of time, too, so.
Yeah.
All right, so next, we will have our superintendent, our new interim superintendent, Kinsella.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson Burke. Tyler, can you hear me okay? Is this good?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, school committee. I am and public, I am just, I'm so happy to be here. A parent wrote me about something yesterday, and I I responded and said, I will say again, I can't believe my good fortune, first, in having landed in Northfield, and second, to have landed in this position. And what I said was, life throws us beautiful curveballs sometimes. So here we are. Thank you. I look forward to this year. You do not have a written report from me tonight. It's day number 10, and we have been going full tilt. I promise you, you will have written reports. But I do have a few things I'd like to share. So I have been able to be out in the building some. I was we have a brand new Spanish language teacher here in the building, and I was able to be in her classroom this morning. And in world language education, what we hope to see is that the educator is speaking in what's called the target language at least 90% of the time. And when I was in the classroom, our brand new to us educator was speaking in the target language 100% of the time, and she was doing a terrific job having kids introduce themselves and greet every child in the class. And she had a really cute little image up on the screen of maybe 9 different chihuahuas, and each chihuahua was numbered, and every chihuahua face, they were real pictures, was either like a happy chihuahua or a sleeping chihuahua or a something chihuahua, and every kid had to identify in Spanish, what number am I? It was great. It was super. It was just what we want to see.
What grade was this?
I'm guessing those might have been 8th graders. Yeah. This person is teaching 8th through Spanish 4-5. I've been able to get out on the fields just a little bit. I caught the tail end of our boys varsity game. It was a tough game, and here's what I love to see. We were down maybe 5 goals, and our coach pulled our upperclassmen off the field and put our 7th graders out on the field, and I was so happy to see that. And I saw our upperclassmen cheering on the younger kids, and that's just such great sportsmanship and such a great way of focusing on what's really important, which is youth development. So loved seeing that. I've been out to see the football team practicing a few times. I was so excited today on my way out to visit other teams to see a line of kids on those mountain bikes heading into the woods. That was terrific, and I plan on joining them on an upcoming Thursday. I have breakfast tomorrow. I was walking by the cafeteria and someone called me in, and there was a group of kids, and we ended up talking about why so many of them hadn't eaten breakfast. And so they talked to me and Mike Honorato and a few of the teachers about what they would like. And so I'm going to head down there tomorrow at 7:20 and be available for breakfast for any of those kids that want to tell me what they want to tell me. I was able to meet with the senior class yesterday, maybe. That was wonderful. And that reminds me, Tyler, our student representative, was working at Foster's until 7.
Ryan,
So
yes.
Ryan, oh, gosh,
Yep,
sorry.
but he
sorry.
will be on Google or here in
Yep.
a few minutes. Yep.
I told him drive safely.
Yes, yes.
You'll get here when you get here. Officer Kimball has been terrific. I have let him know that I would like to meet face-to-face with all of the leads of our safety services in all 4 towns. And so the other day, Chief Shoemaker from Warwick came down. I was really grateful. And Acting Chief, I don't know that I can say his last name, from Northfield, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
We know who he is.
I'm so sorry.
I know.
They came in and we had I think a warm, good conversation. They talked to me a lot about their work with the district and what we might do in the future. And then after that, the chief of the EMS, is it the EMS service in Northfield? And one of the other EMS workers came in, and next week I'm scheduled to meet with the chiefs of fire and police in Bernardston. So we'll just keep making the rounds until we've said hello to people. Our band was scheduled to be the only school band down at the parade today. And we had to cancel. Eric had to cancel because of the rain. He was concerned that if the rain lingered and they were out for a couple hours, I guess it's a long parade. So here's the good news. Our band has 2 other engagements coming up, I think, don't quote me, maybe September 24th down at the Big E, and maybe, we'll get the dates out, in October at the Scarecrow something in Bernardston. That's on my calendar. I've let Eric know I will be there for the Scarecrow Bernardston band event. So a little extra love to our band because they were out there yesterday practicing. And I want to end with just one story that I feel helps me, reaffirms for me why I'm just so glad to be here. So there's a young man in town who's been working in my barn, and he's a graduate of our schools. And he came over with his child the other day, and we were hanging out, and he talked to me about his experience in our schools, and talked about, I want to make sure I get her name right, Ms. Donna Service. Is it Donna? And he said, were it not for Ms. Service, he wouldn't have made it through school. And he spoke at length about the belief that Ms. Service had in him as an instructional assistant, her commitment to him, the way she stuck with him for years, getting him through. She got him through MCAS. He had good feelings about everybody, but I just want to give a shout out, and I've gone down to Ms. Service and let her know this in person. That's why, right? It's what we do, it's why we do, and just hearing that story about this young man is a successful person right now. He's got his own business, and he just talks about what the teachers and the instructional aides or assistants, which one is it? Assistants, I'm so sorry. That they made his education, they made it work. So shout out to our instructional assistants, and I think that's it for me, unless someone's got questions. I don't know how this works here.
No, do you have any questions for Patricia? Does anyone? Alan?
Not a question, but just a breath of fresh air. I don't want you to feel that you have to have this like lengthy report for every meeting.
What did you say, Mr. Genovese?
I think just giving us a review like this. and
Was
then
that good?
Yes, that was great.
Okay, fine.
Have the most important things that
Some
might
bullet
be
points.
detailed bullets so that we could refer to if we need to. But that's very, very enjoyable to listen
Okay.
to.
Great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I was thinking the same thing.
I'd rather hear that than read the report.
Me too. Yeah.
All right.
Or I'd rather hear that than observe as someone's reading the report in front of me.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Good.
Great.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
great. That's great. So now, Director of Finance. So, for the first time here in a while, we have some financial reports. Is this Judy and Joel? Hi, Judy and Joel. Do you want to come up here to the microphone?
So I'd like to say, as Ms. Judy Hool and Mr. Joel Harrington are making their way up, what a great team we have. I know they're on a short-term contract right now. I've already met with our TMS team several times, as have other folks, and I am thrilled. They've been collaborative, they know their stuff, and I think they're going to help kind of whip us into shape. So I'm delighted.
Wonderful. All right, so where would you like to begin? Joanne did print us off the reports here. Looks like accounts payable.
Yeah, so the name of that report is, well, first of all, it's nice to meet you all. I'm Joel Harrington. I am from the company of TMS, and just a quick background then before we get into the meat and potatoes. I've been in public education finance for about 9 years. I started as a staff accountant doing accounts payable and accounts receivables. I did that for a few years and moved into payroll. I did that for a few years, and then before becoming a business manager, I was a business manager for about a year, and then I was recruited by TMS about 4 months ago. And this is my second district.
Great.
And I have a few years on Joel in the experience department. This is my 44th year in education. I have been a music teacher, a principal, a director of curriculum, a superintendent, and a business manager, and I too got sucked in by TMS. Andy Paquette, who is the president of our company, is a great person to work for. We have a great team. We are the face of TMS here, but we have an entire bullpen of about 1,400 employees behind us. So if we run into a snag, we put it out to the airwaves, and we have that support behind us. So it's a really great model for doing the work. So back
Great.
over to Joel.
So the first report is that accounts payable, and I think that you guys are familiar with this one. This is just all the checks that have been cut from the various purchase orders that we have done from the beginning of the fiscal year of July 1st through September 10th. Some checks get cut and sometimes books. This is 53 pages, so I.
Okay.
We don't have that one sitting in front.
Okay, no, I don't.
No.
That's a lot, killing a lot
Right.
of trees in that. But again, I'm not going to go through it. If there's any specific questions, feel free to reach out to me and Judy. But yeah.
I'm Karen, by the way. This was one we got before late today, so I was able to read it, but I couldn't read the others because not enough time. But I'm wondering on page 8, for the buses, if you can give us the reason for the revision. It says revised. So
Yes. So we are aware of that. So originally when Asmuskus billed us for the fiscal year, it was supposed to be, I believe, a 2% increase. They billed us for 3%. So we did contact them, and they are sending a revised bill, and you'll see another adjustment next month, just bringing it to where it should be because we were overcharged.
we were overcharged. Oh, okay.
Good.
And then, on page 40, this is the PVRS activity account. And it just says there's about $19,000 in expenses. And it goes to Pioneer Valley School from the activity expense account. And I'm just wondering what that's for.
So I do not know off the top of my head. This is something that I will have to look into, and I can definitely provide an explanation of what that, because that is a significant.
Yeah, if the principal were here, he might be able to shed some light on it.
What was the name of the account, of that line?
Student activity account for PVRS, page 40.
I will look into that and get back.
Thank you.
Karen, did you say that what you're referring to was online, or we had that sent to us?
We did. Yep.
A day or two ago.
Oh.
Are there any other questions regarding this report?
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
And anyone that's online here on our Google Meet, you can just raise your, oh, David, your hand is raised. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Are you able to hear me?
go ahead.
Okay. So I noticed that the couple accounts are pretty seriously over. Like there's the line employee separation is 18 times over budget.
Yeah, we're not at that one yet, but I will address that.
We're not there yet, David.
Where are we?
Just a minute, we'll get there. All right.
So
Where
the next
are
one
we?
is the signing of the warrants. Was that already received to you guys?
So I have them here. And typically I review them and sign them. So I have those to sign here.
Okay.
The rest of us don't sign those?
Sorry?
We all don't sign that?
Yeah.
There's a serious
Sign
sheet
it.
for us to all sign.
You just have the chair. Let me see the other one. You're correct, so I'll pass this around for you now. This was just the chair. Okay. So this will come right around to you now.
We'll start down there.
Well, you're gonna have to.
So moving on, so the next item on the agenda is the September 2021 financials. So the reports that you were provided with tonight are not reflective of September. They are July and August. And I think that, so because we're only 9 days into September, it doesn't really make too much sense to talk about September financials since we're not through the month yet.
Right.
So I think going forward, these reports that you've been provided with, which I will go into detail in a bit, These are something that will be printed at month's end. So for example, in next month, then we will go over the September reports, if that works for everybody. So these reports will always be dated the first of the month to the 30th or 31st, whatever the case is.
And Joel, will you
yeah.
be able to send those to us, several days ahead of the meeting so that we can?
Absolutely.
Okay,
So I
great.
apologize for the lateness. We've been here for about a week.
working so
hard. But
This
yeah.
is day 7.
Right.
So yeah, they will definitely be in by the end of the month. You definitely will have a few days to review them before the monthly school.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, the first report that I will talk about is the school committee expenditure report. Again, I think this is one that you guys have seen before. So basically, it's separated out by location. It lists all of the function codes. You have the descriptions of what exactly each one of these codes are. The third column is the FY22 GL budget, which was approved. The next column is the range to date, which shows the monthly expenses. So for example, if you're looking at July, this is strictly what was expensed out in July. Same thing with August, strictly what was expensed in August. The next column is the year to date, and this is the total. So it starts from July 1st and then through whatever the end of the month is that report you're looking at. And then the next column, the balance, that's just the difference between the GL budget and the year to date. The encumbrances, so this is things like our salaries, the benefits, and as payrolls come and go, you'll notice that the encumbrances will go down and then be moved into the year-to-date columns. And then same thing with our open purchase orders. So this is things like utilities or transportation. As the months go by and we pay down, you'll notice that the encumbrances are adjusted down and they're moved into the year-to-date columns. And then the final column, the budget balance, is where we're standing now. This is, again, the difference between the GL budget, what has been expensed out year to date, and then the encumbrances that are pending. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of page 9, this is the bottom line. So this is the total budget, how much we've expensed out through all categories, all buildings, all locations, what still remains to be paid, and then what's left over. Are there any questions about this report? Does this report work for you guys? Are you comfortable with this? Is this something that you'd like to see? Yes.
So I have a question on the food service manager. So we're starting off with nothing, and this is only for 1 month, right? And we have 21,000, and so that's encumbered. When do you start putting in a revenue for an amount there, or is that going to continue to reflect the deficit?
So this is something
So how are you going to handle that?
So this is the next item, which is the budget transfers. So this is something that me and Judy are deep diving into, and then when we notice that these accounts are overdrawn, we will have transfers moving from one account to the other. So you'll notice that a lot of these are over there, and we are looking into them. I'm working with the business office staff, which they both have been great to work with, very welcoming, very helpful, and we are looking to see if there are some purchase orders that may or may not be funded correctly, or maybe somebody in payroll that maybe moved to a different building. There are just multiple moving pieces here that we need to look into to see if these numbers are accurate.
Yeah.
And I just want to stress that this report here is just a snapshot in time. This report is going to look different 6 months from now, next month. There's going to be adjustments that need to be made. There's going to be budget transfers. So this is just where we're standing right now. So again, a lot of these accounts, I know some of them are really over, but we are making sure that everything is where it needs to be, and that nothing is shouldn't be.
So at quick 1 week's worth of glance here, how do you feel like our financial health is right at this point?
So, how I feel, I mean, it looks fine. The only thing is, you'll notice at the bottom, the very bottom, there is the budget balance of about $4 million. I think that there still needs to be more money that needs to be encumbered. I think that there are purchase orders that are not yet in the system, so we're going to be comparing FY21, FY20, just to see which ones are currently set up and what needs to go in, because we don't want to you know, especially when these documents get to the public, like, oh, we're sitting on $4 million, we have plenty of money, when
Yeah,
it's just,
right.
that's just not the case.
Right.
No.
But,
Right.
so again, I think in next month's meeting, we'll be at a better standpoint of where we are financially, but for now, I think that things look okay.
Okay.
And I totally understand that. That caught my eye only because it was a salary,
Yeah,
so.
nope, very understandable, yeah.
I have a question about the employee separation costs. That's a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
So-
It's over $500,000.
Yeah, so that number is not accurate. I did meet with the payroll administrator this week, and that is something that we did correct, she did correct. So what happens is when we roll over from fiscal year to fiscal year, whatever happened in the previous year rolls over to what happens this year. And what part of the cleanup process is making sure that these things do not repeat. So for example, if we were paying somebody out for their vacation payout, this person would roll over. We have to remove that person from the position and close them out. So when it rolls over, it shows up in that encumbrance line. So everybody basically that left or separated last year is still here this year. So it's just a matter of removing them from the position and clearing that encumbrance out. That is absolutely not a true figure of what. We haven't had this many people leave yet.
That's a big relief. Thank you very much.
I just want to remind everyone, I leave my phone out because people will sometimes text that are a part of our Google Meet. They're saying it's difficult to hear if your mic is not right up close to your face. So, just as a reminder.
Hey, were there any other questions about the expenditure report before I move on?
No, looks like you're good. I don't see anyone on the Google Meet.
So the next report we have is the revenue report. And I think this is one that the committee has received in the past, so you're familiar with the breakdown of where Pioneer Valley receives their revenue. Again, you know, it follows the same format as the expenditure report where it shows our budget, the month range to date, what we received so far, and what's left to be collected. Obviously, since it's the beginning of the year, most of it is still uncollected, so not too much to discuss here, but if there are any questions, I can try to explain them.
I forget, which question did David, or which report did David say? Did he say revenue? No?
Expenditure.
The last one. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay, and the last report that I prepared, this is a new one that I put together. It's kind of a two-parter. So this one is the Pioneer Valley Regional School District Expenditure Dashboard.
That's this.
That's the one with the graphs on it. So this is something that I put together just to kind of like, it's a one-stop shop to where we are overall. It's, you know, it has all the information you need, the budget, what was spent in each month, and then I broke them down by categories following the chart of accounts that Pioneer Valley currently uses. I think that the chart of accounts are fine for now. That's something we're going to have to dig a little deeper, because if you look at property and equipment, $500 budget, that's something that, you know, that stuck out to us, and that's something that we're looking at, and that could be just a matter of, you know, the way that things were coded in the past. So part of that equipment might be sitting in miscellaneous expenses. So it's, again, something that is on our list, and we're going to deep dive into see where, you know, what is part of each of these figures. So again, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just by these categories, and do you guys have descriptions with it of what each is in each one of these categories?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Oh,
No.
in the category. Oh, yeah.
And I need to apologize here because Joel prepared a very nice description of, for instance, what debt service means, what is included in salaries professional. And I was trying to reformat this so that we could make the print a little bit bigger. And so it's my bad, so I apologize, Joel. We'll get that on the next time, and we'll make sure the print is bigger. And
If you'd like, I can briefly go over what each category means, if that's okay.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
So the debt service is just the annual bond payment. It represents the principal and interest payment. I mean, debt is debt. It's, you know, it's fixed every year. The salaries professional, this is all staff that has professional license that were acquired by DESE. And then we have salaries for support professionals. So this is the administrative assistants, clerical staff, IAs, custodians, and food service employees. Contracted services, this encompasses the consultants, our transportation costs, legal fees, groundskeeping services. Supplies and materials, pretty self-explanatory, class and office supplies, textbooks, cleaning supplies. Miscellaneous expense covers quite a bit. It's all of our medical benefits, our retiree benefits, utilities, leases, subscriptions, periodicals. So there's a pretty big category there. Then there's property and equipment, which is furniture and fixtures. And then lastly, tuitions, which is the district's cost to place students in out-of-district schools. Yes?
The miscellaneous expense, isn't that kind of large? I mean, you mentioned it earlier. Is that typical that you see so much in a miscellaneous account?
Yes.
Or is it usually broken down so that you can follow the costs?
Yeah, so the miscellaneous expenses, again, the reason why that's so high in the first month is when we had to pay our medical premiums, our benefit premiums, which is all due in the first of the fiscal year. So that's why you see such a high amount there compared to August. And you'll see as the months go on, it'll level out.
Okay.
But as far as this report is concerned, they're all grouped together. And if you would like to have a more detailed report, we can do that. But this is a very high level.
Yeah,
this is
right.
like a skyscraper high.
No, I appreciate it. I really like graphs, so.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Nice
I do.
visual.
I
Good,
like
nice
that.
touch. And then again, just the graphs are just things that we can just look at and immediately say, like, again, the monthly spending trends. Whoa, that line is really high in July. Like, what is that? And then if we notice December, contracted services is really high. You know, what's going on here? You know, so it's just a quick way to just make sure that everything, nothing's, no surprises. And then we have things like the year-to-date by percentages. Obviously, most school districts, their budget is mostly salaries and benefits. So you're looking at 80% of your budget is people. So it's no shock that, you're spending 55% just on salaries, professional salaries, not even including the support staff and the benefits. And then this third one, the budget targets. This one's just saying that is the column for the budget. The year-to-date and encumbrances should never exceed that. If it starts to exceed that, we have a problem.
Yeah.
And we need immediate attention. So again, these are just purely, hey, it looks okay, everything looks typical, we can move on. So if this is something that you guys are enjoying, I can have this included in the monthly reports along with the expenditure and revenue. If there's any tweaks to it. So, and then, like I said previously, we're moving on from the financials. That's all I have for you guys as far as reports. Budget transfers, don't have any yet, but we'll definitely have for next month. Clearly, as you see, there are multiple accounts that are in the negative that need to be corrected. And then lastly, the lunch report. I did meet with the food service director, and I don't know. Oh, and Mike is here. So if you want to.
Sure. Should I step up to the mic, or can I stand up and speak loud?
You need a mic, Mike. Yeah.
And while, Mike, may I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's important for the school committee to know that Joel and Judy and I met with the overseer, Rick Kingsley. Do I have it right? We had a great conversation yesterday, and he shared with us a copy of the legislation about, under which we're working with the overseer. He shared his sort of what he thought were the most important points for us to be thinking about and take care of, and gave us an opportunity to ask him questions. So I really appreciated Joel and Judy's leadership in making sure we had that conversation happen right away.
Great.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, everyone. All right, so what was included with your paperwork was a July and August combined school lunch report. I know in the past, when we actually didn't do summer meals, this last 2 years obviously have been a little bit different, but that's something that you would have expected. You would have seen the June and the August one at the same time. So I combined them for ease for us. It's a little bit different than what you have. We had a state match payment of $5,214.28 that came along with our June June reimbursements. It didn't actually hit or wasn't deposited into our bank account until August. So what you see in front of you, we have to take $5,214.28 off of that. That actually reports to June of fiscal year 21. So the June of fiscal year 21, it actually increases our state reimbursement revenue by that $5,214.28. I did talk to Joel earlier, and he'll go ahead and make those changes to the end of year for last year. Obviously, that's not something I can do, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware that what you have in front of you is a little bit different. Okay, so all in all, for July and August, doing our summer meals, we wound up with a profit of $4,439.37. So that's a good start to our year. One other thing that you'll be seeing on our lunch reports moving forward, and I've talking with our new business management team, we're going to go ahead and try to get in the encumbered balances from the prior month and start to include what the estimated full year salaries are for our staff that decided to take 26 pays. It was something they had on it last year, so every time that we were able to sit down, you had a up to the minute understanding of exactly where we stood. So working with Joel and the rest of the team, I'll be able to do that the week before we have our meeting, so you'll have the most accurate numbers we can provide.
Mike, I'm a little confused on your report. I don't know if anyone else is. I don't see so where is the total profit on the August 22 report? You said 4,000.
What it shows for you, because I had to submit these earlier this week before I was able to actually talk to the business management
I'm
team.
looking at the wrong one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was looking at the wrong report.
You also have our DESI claims reports. It was something that we started to include midway through last year. So that way you could see how many meals actually we were being reimbursed for.
Yes, that's what I was looking at.
So you have a July and an August for those.
Yep.
Just so you can be able to see.
So he took out 5,200
Yeah.
something, so you ended up with 4,407.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would have, if I could have corrected it today and got you the actuals, I would have. Sorry about that.
Robin,
I had a
I see
question.
your hand is raised.
I don't know if this is the place to ask, so if it's not, can somebody just tell me? Mike, I had a question about the breakfast foods at Bernardston.
Okay.
Do I ask you about it? Is this the proper place, or?
Oh, absolutely. Please ask.
Well, my grandchildren are back in the system now, so Kate and I were looking over all the stuff, and there was lots of great information about what healthy snacks are and what to bring for lunch, and the lunch menu looked great, but we turned it over and looked at the breakfast one, and it had like donuts on it. It had all sorts of, I didn't see any like protein there. And Kate and I discussed it a little bit. I just thought I would bring it up. Maybe you've noticed that kids just don't eat the protein, but I was wondering how come there wasn't any, giving Brody he had breakfast before he came to school, and then he ate 4 sugar donuts. And
Robin, that's a great question. That is a fantastic question. So those donuts, they're low fat, low sugar, whole grain donuts. So while they seem fantastic and kids love them, they are cardboard with what looks like sugar on the outside.
Okay.
They are healthy. So, to the other point about proteins, so at Bernardston and at Northfield Elementary School, we do the breakfast after the bell program, which for all intent and purpose is snack for these kids, because by the time they eat, it's 9:30 in the morning.
Right.
So Jamie in 3rd grade, she had breakfast already today. At 9:30, well, that's about snack time. So the students can have breakfast for snack. So when it goes up to classroom, we have to be very cognizant about sending up food that will spoil. Because the last thing that a custodian wants to walk into is 15 rotten cheese sticks that, rodents got into, or ants, or so on and so forth.
Right.
So most of the things that we send up are shelf stable. We've tried to do Mondays for this month at our elementary schools, a yogurt and grams, set up yogurts with graham crackers. And again, it's kind of a feeling out phase. We got to go through this first month. What are children going to be expecting? What are they actually going to eat? And then we get to kind of play with it a little bit. But for the elementary schools, we got to be very careful that the food that we're sending up to these classrooms, because at Bernardston Elementary School, we have 150 plus students eating that snack every day. So if we send up 150 milks every day, and 150 cheese sticks, and 150 proteins that can spoil, they will spoil, because not every teacher has a refrigerator in their classroom.
Thank you very much. Thanks for clearing that up. Thank you.
Anything else from Mike? All right, thank you, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
So now we'll move into our subcommittee reports. Oh, sorry, Stephanie.
Can I make a motion for the student rep to speak first if he wants to?
Oh, sure.
Hi everyone, thank you. So just a couple of things. First off, I'd like to say fall sports are back and they've gone pretty well so far. In the next few weeks, class officers will be elected, so once that's done, we can start planning some fundraising ideas. We can start maybe thinking about field trips, if those are going to be allowed this year. Also, students are a little curious whether or not we'll be able to put on pep rallies this year. I'd like to meet with some district officials to see if this is even possible. And if so, how can we do it safely according to COVID guidelines? Pep rallies are great for building, school spirit, and it's great because kids from all the grades get to interact with each other. A little similar, same goes with the homecoming dance in the fall. In a normal year, we'd have a homecoming dance. I know prom in the spring, we held it at the Northfield Golf Course, and that was a huge success. So I don't know if an outdoor venue is a viable option. It's getting a little colder, but that's an idea. And again, I'd like to talk to some district officials about that to see what we can do. I also had a conversation with Superintendent Kinsella today, and we think it would be a good idea for me to start representing the elementary schools. So basically, this would involve me going to visit the schools every couple of weeks, and I kind of just check in with the staff, the teachers, the students, just to see what's going on, and then I would report it back to you guys in future meetings. So part of my job, I'm not just representing the students here at Pioneer, but I should be representing students of all grade levels across the district. So that's pretty much all I have.
Great, Ryan.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Ryan, do you have time during your regular schedule? Classes here to go out and meet at the elementary school?
Yeah. So I'm a senior this year, and so I have a senior priv block. So I was picturing I could just drive out of here around E block and go visit the schools.
Ryan, when would the first, I'm unfamiliar with the schedules with pep rallies and such. So when would you need to know for the first event that would be a group gathering?
So it's been a while since I've gone to a pep rally, since we didn't have them last year. But if I'm remembering right, we do them towards the end of September, maybe early October, or something like that. And typically they're at the end of the day. So there's the schedule for the school day is adjusted. All kids get to their classes, and then there's a scheduled time at the end of the day for the pep rally where everybody can have fun.
And is that indoors and outdoors?
Typically we always hold it in the gym.
Oh, it's in the gym.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Great. Thank you, Ryan.
I had a question, Julie.
Oh, Robin. Yeah, if anyone can alert me, I have to keep. Go ahead, Robin.
First off, I feel rude to keep saying that, but I wave. I just want to double check. I thought I heard Ryan saying, just because I ran into this before once on another school committee thing, if Ryan is driving on school time to do this, is that a liability in any way for us or And is that an issue? Is that anything we need to be concerned about? Is that just off the wall?
I'm pretty sure seniors, that's, I think that's allowed for seniors, generally speaking. They sign out and they sign back in.
Yeah.
I would assume that would be okay. We can certainly double check.
I'll check with
Yeah.
Russell.
Actually, Russell is here. If perhaps Russell knows.
I can ask him.
Sorry, I had to unmute.
Okay. Oh,
Hi, Russ. So, we have our awesome student representative here, Ryan Potter. He is interested in going to the elementary schools to just talk with students and staff there to bring any information, from them as well to our meetings instead of just being a high school centered.
Yep.
Would he be able to leave, during one of his blocks, to attend to those duties, like during his school day, if he has the time available?
Potentially. We tried to do something similar to that when I was on a school committee a few years ago. So we had the high school. I don't think we went down to elementary, but they did talk to the middle school students, but they did it through like their representatives as well. So it wasn't like a general conversation with the school student population as a whole. It would probably have to be more focused than that. So maybe the principal could get some of the student, students that are interested in.
We were more
leading.
concerned with if he can leave during the school day. Can he sign out as a senior would and come back without any liability if something were to happen en route or back?
Oh, like the traveling aspect of
Yeah.
it? I mean, leaving a block would be whatever your normal rules are
Yeah.
for, leaving it. But
He said legally if it's a block of time that, that you can leave the school, then that's fine to do so. All right,
But
thank you,
I think
Russ.
well, do you let students, do you have an open campus where you let kids go off campus?
I can't hear.
Yeah, we have an open campus. He said that you let students leave.
We do.
Yeah,
We do have an open campus, and the
Yes.
seniors, once a certain amount of time has passed, then they'll get their senior privs.
Yes.
Which obviously Ryan will get his senior privileges. And then he can leave, come and go.
Right.
During the day, come in late or leave early. But he has to sign it
So
and
if
sign
you
it.
just- So if you followed that same process, but the thing is, you'd want to make sure that the other school knows he's coming
Sure.
and coordinate all of that, just so you make sure you have track of, for safety reasons.
Okay, yeah, and Patricia will contact the elementary schools and just let them know as well. We can actually schedule time for that with them.
Perfect.
Here, just a quick question, you probably have the answer. So seniors that are under 18, do the parents give permission for that to occur? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ryan, thanks. So you're welcome to stay, or you can certainly go. All right, and thank you, Stephanie, for
Yeah, thank you.
negotiation subcommittee.
So, this is Raina Dastu, I'm the chair of the negotiation subcommittee. We met last night, we discussed and came up with some recommendations for the athletic director stipend and the collective bargaining with teachers and support personnel, which is on the agenda.
Yeah, there's
Tyler,
an
there's an
echo.
echo.
Julie, did you change the volume on your?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe I'll try. So yeah, that's on the agenda for the executive session. I guess I'll just keep talking. We also discussed the need to add some language to the mask policy based on the state regulations regarding discipline for anyone who is not exempt from the mask policy but violates the policy. And also, we discussed the guidelines for gatherings in schools that Superintendent Kinsella and the district nurse have been pulling together. And That's going to be going to our council for review. The subcommittee will meet again next week, and we're expecting that the full committee will need to meet on the 16th to vote on that.
All right. Building and grounds, that is Mike.
So I understand there's been some discussion on some old issues in the schools, and I think that the superintendent's been handling that fine. I think there's one area at Bernardston Elementary School that may need to be addressed in the band room and in the gym still. And I guess I could let Patricia speak to that and where we're at with that. And then the only thing else I have for building and grounds would be sometime in October we should schedule a meeting, and I'll work with Patricia to set that up.
I can speak to that.
Thank you.
So first, I would like to thank Bob Raymond for his continued support of the Bernardston Elementary School and the management of the mold issue at the school. So as the school committee knows, mold was discovered in the building just before the opening of school. Mike Honorato helped organize food service workers and some custodial staff who worked overtime. They used what's called a quaternary solution that is safe, effective. It's used all the time in cleaning. They did a terrific job cleaning. We brought out a air quality firm that did testing. The results were great. We had no mold found on any of the surfaces on the 5 surface samples. So,
Was it mold or mildew?
so it is actually mold. I'm learning in this area. It is, there was one area, there were 10 air quality samples taken, 9 indoors and outdoors. 9 of them were completely fine. One of them was slightly elevated, and that was the sample from the kitchen. I'm going to try and explain some of what the fantastic director of the testing organization explained to me. There were aspergillus spores that were found to be mildly elevated, and I have learned 2 million aspergillus spores can fit on the head of a pin. 2 million. The amount detected in our kitchen was 6,000 spores in a cubic meter of air. So that is not necessarily higher than would be found in the outdoor air in this area of the Pioneer Valley. He was careful to explain to me that there is no absolute standard for what constitutes a safe level of spores in the air. There's a mix of spores. The air out here in the Connecticut River Valley has more spores, for instance, than air in the Boston area would have. So there's not a hard and fast number. It's contextual. The gentleman explained that the spore reading in the kitchen meant that we had some super small area that needs to be recleaned. So we have kept. It is safe for the staff to be working in the kitchen. It's safe for them to be preparing food and serving food to the kids. We are safe, and I went over and spoke to all of the staff at the elementary school before things started. We do have the band area, which, as you'll recall, there's the stage that has heavy curtains that leads into the gym. There was mold found there. We've done some preliminary cleaning. We've received 1 quote to do a second round of cleaning. Judy has kindly taken on getting us someone to come out and give a second quote, because we don't have internal capacity anymore. It's no longer the summer, everybody's working. We can't bring our folks in on overtime to do the cleaning. It's really hard work. So we will do a second round we'll get the second quote, we'll do a second round of cleaning, we'll bring the air testing people back in, and my expectation is that we'll be just fine. These hot, humid summer days, the weather has begun to turn. So we know, and we are fortunate, as I'm sure everyone has seen, our colleagues 40 minutes south of us, have not had school open. So want to emphasize again, no mold found in any of the classrooms on that main level where things are. So as I said to the elementary school staff, if we had any concerns about safety, obviously, we wouldn't have opened the building.
Can I ask a question? I don't know what the cost is, but who's going to pay for that? Will our insurance?
So we have reached out to insurance.
Okay.
Russell reviewed our lease agreement with the town. This would be squarely within our responsibility to pay. The procedure in working with Berry Insurance is we have to finish the process, get invoices, we then file a notice of loss, they then file a claim, and then an adjuster comes out and has a look. The last time the district filed was in 2017, and as our representative at Berry said, gosh, you are not high flyers. We haven't filed in quite some time, so that's good for us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And so, as the follow-up, when he was doing this education, did he talk about the future years would have increased circulation? What would be we're going to have more humid days in the years to come,
and
did he offer some suggestions?
I'm not sure that he offered suggestions. I did, however, in reading about the situations down in Northampton and I think South Hadley, it sounds like in an effort to ensure loads of fresh air in this era of COVID, the air handlers have been on frequently, and they are, so the basement, not the basement, that ground level is partially below grade. The surfaces in there are cool in the summer because it's partially below grade. The air handlers are sucking in warm, humid air outside and dumping that air. That air hits the cool surfaces, condensation formed. My guess is that we will need to work with the town, and Bob has been patient. There's been a lot happening. He's been very patient with me. My guess is that we will need to begin some conversations about what is the long-term plan for how we are excellent tenants and what we need, and how what the town does to make sure that the HVA systems are working. We just need to enter some different conversations collaboratively to ensure that this doesn't happen in the future.
Thank you.
All right, curriculum and personnel.
We have not met since our last meeting.
And when will you meet, Karen? Do you have a plan?
No, we don't have a plan
Okay.
to meet, but I perhaps should talk with the superintendent about whether anything is coming down the road that we should be aware of.
Thank you. All right, budget subcommittee.
Yes, but before I go on with that, I'd like to thank Patricia for handling the mold thing in a timely fashion, and also for Bob Raymond working with her to get this taken care of. On with the budget, I would also like to let things settle down with CMS, let them get their feet wet, and then meet with them hopefully in October and see what they can advise the budget subcommittee on and what the path forward is, also along with the superintendent. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Policy?
Yes, we met about 10 days ago, and we are still working with Tracy Novick from MASC to revise our policies. We tackled a big section, and we didn't finish it, the section J. So we will continue working on that and perhaps venture into the next section on October 4th.
Great, thank you. District Agreement Subcommittee.
That's actually me. We have not met all summer, but I will be scheduling a meeting, hopefully the last week of September, beginning of October. We will have some more work to do because we do have comments back from DESE.
Okay. Warwick Transition Subcommittee.
That's me again. I'm just waiting for the transition agreement to come back from Warwick. I did get the tuition comments back from them, so we will be having a meeting probably the beginning of October for that also.
Okay. So then in new business here, we have the Bernardston Elementary School strategic plan.
I can speak to that. So that would more accurately be titled the BES School Improvement Plan, SIP. And I apologize, I didn't realize this had made it onto the agenda, and at my request, Dr. Carrier is not here because I haven't had a chance to review the school improvement plan. And while I understand that's something that should have been presented and voted upon by the school committee before July 1st, with your forbearance, I would like to review it with Dr. Carrier and then bring it to you and have her come present it next month.
So then we have mask policy update. Oh, okay, great.
Pass this around.
So we're passing around here. Our folks on Google Meet wouldn't have a copy of this, but it appears that the changes are highlighted here, so I can read them. Or you can.
Maybe I'll just give the preface.
Yes,
and
please.
I think, Raina, you talked about this a bit. On August 19th, the school committee approved an updated mask policy for the district. Just a week later, on August 25th, DESE sent out updated guidance that made clear that these policies needed to include language that addressed how we would support students who weren't following the mask policy. The policy you had previously approved spoke to working with staff and visitors who weren't following the policy, but not students. So Russell has shared with us on the, and I'm sorry other folks don't have this, on the backside, the circled portion above is language that Russell shared with us for your consideration about meeting the state's requirement that we say how we will support students and what the learning, how we support students and what the potential consequences are for failure to comply.
So I will go ahead and read. Go ahead, okay. So the section that was added to our policy from August 19th reads, positive behavioral interventions, conferencing between families and school administration, and progressive discipline will be used to address student noncompliance with this policy. Only after these steps are taken may a student be removed from the school building until such time as they can comply with the requirement or the requirement is lifted. So this is something that, you know, we should discuss and vote on this evening. Would you like to? Yep, go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, not a motion, but just, why the word remove? If the gist of it is the student wouldn't be allowed to be on the school premise or in the school building. Removed has a different connotation, and it would be how are you going to remove the student? So maybe Russell can speak to that particular word. Everything else is really good. That just is a flag. Or, you know, do bodyguards come in to take them away? Or someone greet him at the door? I mean, how is that handled?
Yeah, so this is kind of a document that's gone all around the state, basically. But I think probably the intent of whoever originally drafted it may have been that often what's happening is they're coming into the school building, then taking off the mask, and then they have to be removed from the building. So
Russell,
it's not
you're kind of trailing off when you speak. Can you just maybe move a little closer or speak a little louder?
Sure.
Thank
so, I think it's, sometimes you're removing a student because they've taken off their mask, and sometimes it's prohibiting them from entering. So you might want to use both of those phrases instead of just remove.
What was the second phrase?
Prohibit entrance or excluded. And then you'd have removal.
I can't hear.
Prohibit entrance or exclude.
Or
Yeah,
excluding
something
them
like
from
that.
exclude.
Yeah.
Okay. Robin, your hand is raised.
I agree. I think that the word remove it sets a tone that is kind of vague. And also, my question is, like, when you say remove, it's like moved to the outside and the parents called. I mean, it seems like the policy. It seems like it needs to go like a step further. Like, what does that actually mean? Like, are parents called? Do they come pick up the child? Does he go to a room where he is, stays until a parent comes to get him? I see that this is a touchy thing, and I just want to be, I don't like the word remove either. But I also think it has to clearly say what that means if you're going to remove a child. What does that mean? Remove them outside? I mean, if a child.
You could say prohibited from being in the building.
Prohibited from being in the building.
Okay, I like that. That's better. Yep. I mean, it still puts us in a situation where we still have to answer the question when the child comes in, the student comes in, takes the mask off, and then doesn't put it on. What is the actual action for the, for the teachers and the staff? But I do like that wording much better.
Yeah, I think the actual what you would actually do. So your policy would be kind of the high level. This is what we expect.
Right.
As far as how it is implemented, I think your administrators would have to do that in accordance with the handbook.
Okay.
So
okay.
It would be a process, but it wouldn't really be in this policy itself.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alan?
So my follow-up would be, is it limited to just the school building or there's the premises? If a student, if we're having other mask requirements in other parts of the school grounds, does it still apply, or are they asked to leave the premise?
But they wouldn't be able to access the educational program. What do you say?
I didn't hear that.
Tyler, we couldn't hear what Russell said. I don't know if you can turn it up a little bit.
I said that you don't have to wear a mask outside, but they wouldn't be able to access the educational program, obviously. So if you're removing them, if they're being prohibited from being in the school building or well, I would just leave it at that, because, I mean, basically they're going to have to go off school grounds.
Well, you can't attend sports if you're not part of the educational program, right? So.
Right, so that would.
So you could say school building and premises?
School premises.
You could. I mean, I don't think it's really
Oh
necessary.
yeah, school premises.
School premises, okay.
The school, prohibited from being on the school premises.
Yeah.
We had building.
We're building.
Oh, Stephanie?
Hi. Should at the top here it say students who violate the mask policy? Because it's kind of weird that it goes from like talking about exceptions to the policy, blah, 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 and then it goes into the positive behavior interventions. Should it be changed around a little bit to be like students who violate the mask policy will have the following?
Yeah, they put it to address student noncompliance with this policy, so they, it's just flipped.
Right. You could insert that.
Or you could say, student noncompliance with this policy will
Be addressed. Will be addressed with.
In the following manner, something like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking to follow up, it could say positive behavioral interventions will be implemented for students who do not follow this policy, including, and then you go right on. conferences with parents and so on.
Procedures for non-compliance.
Right.
With this policy.
All right, Jeannie?
Could you also have a bullet saying students who are non-compliant with this policy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, non-compliance with this policy, and then we have what Russell has given us.
So you're saying instead of rewording the first sentence, you can just have a bullet at the top
Yeah.
saying,
Students
who are non-compliant.
with the policy.
Personally, I think I think it flows better if you do it the way Alan just said. I think it sounds like we're gonna endeavor to try to work with the student because we want to educate them, we want them to be here. And, when you say non-compliance, it right away throws up, it's like the word remove. So I think putting it in the way Alan said sounds, really what our intent is, to make it work.
My feeling is that what you're saying, Robin, is addressed with the first statement in the new paragraph is positive behavioral interventions, which is what you just said. That's the first step towards helping the student be compliant with the policy.
I guess because I'm not looking at it, I can't see how it's flowing, so I know what, I can't see it, so. Can you read how it would be, Julie, then, please?
Would you like me to read it again? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'd like you to read it like, the way.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
Or
yeah, the current state that I have it written on my paper would be that there would be a bullet that would just identify that this next paragraph is going to address non-compliance. So students who are non-compliant, and then that would be a bullet. Then it would read positive behavioral interventions, conferencing between families and school administration, and progressive discipline will be used to address student noncompliance with this policy. Only after these steps are taken may a student be prohibited from being on school premises until such time as they can comply with the requirement or the requirement is lifted.
I think that's fine.
Can we entertain a motion, or is there more discussion? Mike, go ahead.
I move to that be accepted as read.
Nathan?
I'll second that.
Oh, someone seconded, I believe. Robin, okay. Now discussion?
Yeah, how are we approaching those points on buses or transportation?
Wouldn't this,
Would that fall under the
I
bus
believe
company?
FM Cosmescos has
their policy?
regulations around that, if I remember straight.
The bus is federal regulation, I believe.
Yep.
Wait a second.
Were you looking for
So I-
consistency? Is that what you were thinking? Yeah.
It is. You're correct about that, Mike.
Oh, sorry, Russ, we didn't hear you.
I said Mike is correct. It is federal.
So the bus company falls under federal regulations, okay. We could inquire with Cosmescus as to what their policy is for mass noncompliance.
Well, just as long as there's communication with bus drivers and the administration of the schools, they're having to issue that.
Well,
Go ahead, Russ.
what would normally happen is the bus company would tell us, and the administrators would issue discipline.
Okay, so the bus company would report to us if there's noncompliance, and then we would, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Well,
So we have a motion to accept as I read. We have a second. Is there further discussion? Alan?
And this is my last comment on this. The reason I don't like to have a bullet heading is that it's like, here's our policy, here's what we're doing, and by the way, we want to flag this, and if you break this, here's what's happening. If it flows right into the policy as part of it, and you're reading it, then it just becomes, it's just ingrained in their behavior, you know, students, positive behavioral interventions, and then it goes on to say, will be taken for students that are non-compliant, and it just sort of reads right along.
So you're saying remove
But-
the bullet, but leave the paragraph, as I stated, with removed to prohibited from being on the school premises.
Right, and if, you know, I would make that a friendly amendment, but I'm not going to. If everyone else is happy with it, that's fine. It just, we've been working on policy a long time. We try to just have everything flow, and this, to me, throws up a flag that we're ready for you.
Yeah, I see it a bit differently. I think that if it's blended in, it can get lost as well. I can go either way. I don't really have a strong opinion either way on it. I do think it's important to highlight if it's not, so that there's an expectation there or an understanding if there isn't compliance. So, what are everyone's thoughts? Right now, we have a motion to accept with the bullet, just highlighting that this paragraph will speak to the non-compliance. So, there's no further discussion, we can vote on that. Okay. Would you like me to read it one more time, or is everyone clear on what they're voting on? Okay. So Stephanie, you can go ahead.
Stephanie Winslow, Northfield, yes.
Jeannie Milton, Bernardston, yes.
Karen O'Neill, Leiden, yes.
Nathan Swartz, Warwick, yes.
Alan Genovese, Warwick, abstain.
Michelle DeRusso, Leiden, yes.
Raina Dowsty, Northfield, yes.
Jim Bell, yes.
Yes?
Robin Knight, Leiden, yes.
Mike Townsley, Bernardston, yes.
David Young, yes.
And Julie Burke, Northfield, yes. All right, so that motion passes. Okay, thank you, everyone. Next is the School Resource Officer MOU. So I did review this. There didn't seem to be too many changes. It seemed as though, obviously, the dates needed to be changed.
It still says 2020.
On which page? First
Remember
one?
the very first sentence.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if that should just be left
All right.
out of here.
So, I'm not sure if everyone had a chance to thoroughly review this. Yeah, okay. So would someone like to make a motion to, let's see, Mike has his hand raised.
I'll move to accept the document as presented.
I second, Karen.
Okay, further discussion?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Robin, then Alan.
We're just voting on this particular memorandum. We're not actually discussing whether or not we want to continue to have a school resource officer or anything like that, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay, great.
we had already
Okay, thank
voted
you.
to have the school resource officer for this year.
Okay, thank you.
David. Oh, sorry, Alan was next, then David.
No, what's the 50%, what's the salary? I'm sure it's in here, or? I
No,
didn't see
that's
it.
my question. What's
That's
the
it.
hourly amount? What's the contract value? I don't see it's there.
Is it there?
I don't see it.
Oh, here's the same question.
6 of 10.
Yeah, so we will have to fill in that information. I don't suppose Joel has it handy.
7 days
For the
in.
school resource officer.
Pop quiz.
Yeah. Yep.
Just wondering.
Yeah.
Insert amount.
$29,523.
You repeat that?
Resource officer, $29,523. It's on page 7. That's the August one is where I found it.
Great, thank you.
Oh, that's
In our financials.
So it wasn't in his contract, was it?
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
It should be,
Oh, 50%.
yeah. We get
Yeah,
reimbursed.
the one I saw had a placeholder for the amount.
Right. So wouldn't that be twice that amount, and then we get reimbursed the 50% from the town?
That's what it seems.
Yeah. No, so that's what we.
The
We're only
district shall
budgeting for our
reimburse the
portion.
town. Oh, David, go ahead.
It does not seem to me that we're ready to act on this. The dollar amount was not in what was sent to us. And besides, the contract's retroactive. I won't ask about the legality of that. Let's just get the information out there and act on this when we have it, not pulling it together at the committee meeting.
Thanks, David. I was hoping that we could get the amount from, because we have our financial team here, and perhaps we could, but we could instead certainly table this for our next meeting. Is there anyone opposed to tabling this for our next meeting?
No.
All right.
And then will it be revised? It won't have all those cross-outs?
Right.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, we'll get rid of all of the strike-throughs. Okay. Next is our discussion and vote on the TMS contract, our school business manager, temporary business manager services through September 13th. So as everyone knows, we needed to do the formal bid process because this was for a non-school personnel position. So that goes through the formal bidding process. The formal bidding process closes tomorrow, I believe, and we just have one applicant, which is TMS. But in order to get them working and to have all these lovely reports prepared for us for this meeting, we needed to have them work at an hourly rate until we were able to award them the contract, or once the full bidding process was completed. So this here was the contract for September 1st through September 13th. The hourly rate was $175 per hour, no matter how many TMS staff members were working. It wasn't per individual working. And then the amount could not exceed more than $10,000. So we're just bringing it to you this evening for any discussion and to vote here.
Discussion?
Yep.
So first thing, seems like we're mixing a couple things, but not to exceed $10,000 in a 13-day period? That doesn't seem quite right, but I guess the concern I have, and I'm certainly going to support this. I want to be clear on that because we need to go forward. But the concern I have is that When we were looking at three things, looking at a partnership or something with Gil Montague, we were looking at having a service perhaps provide this, and we were looking at hiring our own business administrator. Several times it was stated that we need to be doing that in parallel, and that when we actually had a conversation at this table about doing a salary, it was stated we should also advertise in that we're looking at an alternative for a contracted service. Had we done that, we wouldn't be here right now. We would have had someone in place at least 3 weeks ago, because that would have been out there, and we would have had a response, and we would have had a contract in place. So I'm just disappointed that at our last meeting, it was announced that we hadn't gone through that process. The other thing I want to point out is the contract. I did do a contract together to cover the period of having TMS, if they were the ones that expressed the interest, be able to come in and start working right away. And the number $8,000 was a month was used because that would keep us under the $50,000, and then a full bidding process could be in play while they were providing the service. And that could have been executed within a 6-month period, and then that would continue. So I'm just disappointed that I felt we were ahead of the curve, and then things happened. It didn't get advertised when the salary was, and we fell behind that. So you'll be negotiating the next contract, and I hope it is less than the $10,000 a month that we see here for $10,000 for 13 days. That's all.
Thank you.
And I will make a motion that we approve this contract.
Robin?
Isn't that 10,000 just to say it's not going to exceed that? It may not be 10,000.
Correct. It will not be
Okay.
10,000.
Right, okay.
So Alan has made a motion to accept this contract that we have before us. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Michelle seconded. Further discussion? Nathan?
If it's not going to be 10,000, why are we saying 10,000?
It was not to exceed because the worst case scenario that essentially, or the amount that we could have expected to pay, the highest amount we could have expected to pay TMS would have been 10,000 per month. So we just wanted to ensure that it wasn't going to exceed that. I understand that, point well taken. It because this is a shorter period of time, that should have likely been prorated for a 2-week period.
Exactly.
Yes. So absolutely, but I can assure you that this amount has not been $10,000 thus far.
But it should be 5, because it's for...
Also understanding, though, there could be some extra work that could happen right at the beginning. So it may not be 5, but it won't be more than 10. So,
Fair enough.
any further discussion? Okay, Stephanie?
Stephanie Winslow, Northfield, yes.
Jeannie Milton, Bernardston, yes.
Karen O'Neill Lyden, yes.
Nathan Swartz, Warwick, yes.
Alan Genovese, Warwick, yes.
Michelle Jeruso Leiden, yes.
Raina Dasty, Northfield, yes.
Robin Knight, Leiden, yes.
Mike Townsley, Bernardston, yes.
David Young, yes.
Jim Bell, yes. Okay, great. And Julie Burke, Northfield, yes. Okay, thank you, everyone. And then is there other business at this time not anticipated at the time of posting? Does anyone have anything?
I have something.
Hi, Robin. Go ahead.
And maybe I missed part of this, so just you can just tell me it's being worked on. I'm still concerned that I haven't heard anything about testing for students and staff. And is that something that we're going to be looking at on next Thursday?
So I did have a conversation with Carla today. I just asked her for an update, anticipating that that may come up this evening. She is still diligently working on that,
Okay.
getting that set up for the schools for this school year.
And will
It's
she
not as
also
quick
be-
as a process as one
Right.
would have suspected. Jeannie?
Okay. Wait, I didn't finish. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I wanted
that's
to
right.
address that a little bit, Robin. I took part in the testing. I took part in that testing, helping out at another school. And there's a lot of prep work that needs to be done, such as there's a special machine, there's also registration of it, there's coordinating with a staff member to help with logging the students in when they're tested. So the process to begin it is time consuming.
I do understand that. I've been talking to people that are doing it in Greenfield and also in South Deerfield. So I wasn't being critical. I just wanted to make sure we were still on that track. I also do have the question. I heard very clearly and was going to ask about staff vaccinating. And so I was wondering if that's something also that we will look for our school nurse to be recommending, or how do we go about that? How do we feel about that? And yeah, I guess that was my concerns.
So perhaps Russell can weigh in on the staff vaccination issue. I do know, obviously, some schools are moving to that model. That has not been, we have not entered into discussions about that yet. That would be something that we would certainly be involved with the union with. Russell, do you have any information?
Yeah, so I was just in the meeting with a different client before your meeting where I believe they're going to mandate vaccines, and we were talking to the union about how we're going to do that. And President Biden just came out with a plan for employers over 100 employees, as well as, well, his plan, I think, is going to cover about 2/3 of all employees, but he's asking, he wants the public sector to do the same, state governments. So I don't know if that's going to happen at the state level eventually, or if it's going to have to happen school by school. But not many schools are doing it right now. I mean, I've just got a couple.
Okay, so he was difficult to hear, but not many schools are doing it right now. But it's something that perhaps the state may be moving towards mandating. Is that correct, Russell?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Jeannie?
I just had a question for the teachers that are here. How do you feel about a mandate that all staff be vaccinated? I'm sure we've had discussions among yourselves.
You know, I think, what we've read from the MTA, I think the MTA certainly supports it.
That the mandate be made that all staff be vaccinated.
Thank you. Alan?
I have one other item for new business, it's more informational. We're in the process of writing another
Before we move
regional
on-
grant that is
Oh,
focused.
hold on one second, David.
No, go ahead, he might be on this.
Oh, go ahead, David.
Can we continue to talk about this vaccine question before moving on?
Yeah.
I would like us to lead on this. I am quite moved. This is public education, and attendance is mandatory. So without question, we should be wearing masks, but to spend so much time talking about masks and to have unvaccinated adults in the building is unacceptable to me.
All employees, not just teachers.
Thanks, David. Alan?
So I'll follow up on that comment first. I think it'd be appropriate or prudent perhaps for the superintendent to put out, something to the community and to the staff and so forth about, your thoughts and what you feel should be, put in place, or get some feedback or whatever, and then take something up at the next meeting. and see whether or not we're going to wait to see what the state does, or whether or not you get a lot of positive feedback from the staff that this is something that should be done. So just, you don't have to do it, it's just a comment. That's all.
Michelle?
Do we know what percentage of our staff are vaccinated? No. No.
You can't ask people. You're not allowed to ask, so. I tend to be with David on this. I mean, I would like to see us take the lead because I feel like it's time. I mean, it's time, but I think that I think we would, I'd want to. I'd want to approach the union. I would love it to come with the union saying, please, this, we agree. I mean, I wouldn't want to, I think that would be the best way to go about it. If we were to do that, to have discussions with the union and have them stand with us if we were to do this. So that might be something for the superintendent to follow up on also.
Karen?
I agree with what Robin just said.
So from what I just heard from Claire, so the MTA does support teachers being vaccinated.
But we have non-MTA staff
Right,
and
right.
workers that should be on board as well.
So what is our ask of the superintendent? I just wanted to clarify that.
I don't know, maybe we should ask it of ourselves.
I'm happy to hear that folks are interested in having our district lead on this issue, and I'm always happy to work with the union. I would ask that Russell weigh in here. My understanding was that something like a vaccination mandate would be a school committee policy, or is that not the case? Is it that it would be an administrative action, not a policy? So if Russell can advise us, that would help me think about what next steps might be.
Yeah, my understanding of what I think the committee is saying is they would like you as superintendent to reach out to the union and work out what that might look like, and then they would draft a policy in accordance with that discussion. I think that's what I'm hearing. But you're right, that it would be a policy ultimately.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
So Raina and then Mike.
I guess my question was, we require many other vaccines, and where does this fit in that requirement? And does it dovetail in any way, I guess?
And I just wanted to say that the information that I have from Carla is that, like everything with COVID, it's
evolving.
It's ever evolving and fluid, and what is true today, something else may be true tomorrow. So it is a difficult thing to navigate quickly. Mike.
I guess first off, it sounds like that we may be assuming that we don't have all our staff vaccinated, and I don't like that part. Also, if the federal government requires that an employee with more than 100 employees needs to have their staff vaccinated, the federal government is the one that we need to follow. I don't believe that we should be setting precedents in any fashion, going out on a limb and trying to do something without the backing of the government, just like with the other vaccines. The other vaccines are required because that is part of a requirement. So I'd like to see, let's follow the government's lead. They need to step up to make the request.
Thanks,
I think
Mike.
the request
Russ?
has been made.
Yeah, and I should have said it's 100 employees in the private sector.
Okay.
What do you say?
100
employees, private sector.
In the private sector.
In the private sector.
Oh,
I mean, the request has been made. I mean, the federal government.
Robin, I'm just going to ask you to raise your hand when you need to speak. David and then Robin.
I would just like to point out that we are the government in this case, and we are responsible, and we are the government. A lot of politicians are timorous. They want somebody else to make these difficult decisions. I think that we may be able to see our own way here, not be followers.
Thanks, David. Robin?
I apologize for jumping in, but the federal government has spoken, I mean, for federal employees, so I feel like that's the lead there. Maybe we could, maybe we should put it on the agenda and give people a chance to speak if we do it on Thursday, if we talk about it then, just so that we are, clearly saying that we would be considering this at that point and give people a chance to weigh in. That might be.
Thanks, Robin. Okay, do you have something else, Alan?
Well, I just want to say, I think Kevin, the superintendent, have that opportunity to reach out is kind of, rather than an edict came from the committee that this is what we're doing. So it just feels more of a fair-handed flow for that opportunity to give people notice that this is important and we're thinking of moving forward on it.
Julie.
Oh, sorry, Stephanie.
I just want to say that I agree with Mike. I think we're making an assumption that a lot of people are not vaccinated. I do think that if we could get the data from Carla, if she could accumulate how many of the staff are vaccinated, that'd be really helpful. And then that would help Patricia be able to put it out to the community. This is where we're at with our vaccination
I think
status.
at this point we're not allowed to ask vaccination status.
Other schools are able to get that information, so I'm wondering why that is.
Ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carla
Right.
can certainly ask for, anyone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To
Right.
voluntarily give that information.
Sure.
Okay.
I have one other item.
I don't understand.
Michelle?
I actually don't understand that because a lot of social venues will not let you into their place without showing your vaccination card.
Then you can't go.
So,
Yeah.
The private sector, though.
yeah. Yeah, but from the DPH, we had posters this summer that says if you are not vaccinated, please wear a mask.
Russell
And that-
actually has his, maybe Russell can.
Okay.
Go ahead, Russell.
Yeah, so by October 1st, we need to figure out if 80% are vaccinated or not. So I'm expecting DESE is going to issue guidance on how we get that information. So I do think we're going to be getting it soon.
If it's a mandate.
Can someone repeat what Russell said?
By October 1st, DESE is gonna,
Can you go to your mic?
oh. Well, I didn't hear part of it. He said by October 1st, DESE is supposed to do what, Russ?
So the 80% requirement, that we have to know whether we have 80% vaccinated or not
80%, yeah.
for the masks. So we're going to have to get the
Like that from
vaccination data.
DPH, too. I'm like, yeah.
Those figures are going to have to be figured out.
Agree on that?
Yes, I think that's, okay.
So I had just one more of announcement. The Six-Town Regional Planning Board is in the process of submitting another grant, and this one is all focused on just facilitation now. Hiring a facilitator to go into the communities now, talk to teachers, talk to parents, have public forums, conduct surveys. We've collected a lot of information over the last couple of years. Because of COVID, we haven't been able to really get the proper feedback. So we're going to move to that phase now and just find out, is this something that people have any interest in? What are their concerns or questions? And we're not going to have anyone on the committee doing that. That'll be a professional facilitator so that they can conduct all of these, assimilate the information and provide a report. And then we'll know what direction to go or not go in. So just informational, so you're hearing it first here.
Thanks, Alan. Does anyone else have anything under other business? And then our next, old business. I don't have any old business. Okay. And next is our executive session. So this is where we would need the members of the public to be dismissed. We can certainly let you know when we're going back into open session.
Are you coming out for the sole purpose of adjourning, or would you
It
be
does
coming out
say
for
coming,
action?
it does say coming out to
We'll
vote.
return
To vote?
open session.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Hi, Claire.
I want to come back to the conversation that we had a little bit earlier. You're talking about voting on the MOU between the two unions, but there really hasn't been a negotiation yet.
Right.
For the AD,
No, not for
No.
the AD.
No.
Talking for the MOU between the two unions.
That didn't happen last night.
so Russell, can you give me some guidance here?
I wasn't present last night, so I'm not sure exactly what happened.
What did you say?
We can't hear you,
I
Russ.
wasn't present last night. I'm not sure what happened at that meeting.
He wasn't
He
present
wasn't.
last
He
night.
wasn't at the meeting last
So
night.
then that can't happen. I mean, you can talk about it, but we haven't even had conversation about it.
Julie, there was no MOU that was discussed at the negotiations meeting last night. So the first part of that, we can't do. When we come back to
Oh,
open
I thought that it was
session.
all combined. The way that this reads, this other business, it's one sentence,
Yeah, but it's two different,
two different items.
yes.
Okay. Vote on MOU,
it says
and then it says
and.
and athletic director MOU.
Right.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I was confused there. Because the teachers were also, or you were also involved in the athletic director MOU, so I got confused, I'm
No,
sorry.
No, they're not.
No, we had
There was conversation.
conversation, okay, sorry. Okay, so we certainly won't be able to then vote if that negotiation, Russ, do we know when we're going to be doing the negotiations with the teachers?
I do not. They had a meeting last night, or at least the superintendent, I believe, did. But I don't know what happened at that meeting, so I assume probably next week, maybe?
We did not have a meeting with the union. It was just of the subcommittee.
Oh, okay.
So I hope maybe I can clarify. We had hoped in the subcommittee meeting last night to work with Russell. There was a communication gap. So it was the subcommittee and myself reviewing some draft language. I would imagine that it's not possible to vote tonight, but what the committee could do in executive session is talk about some of the ideas and draft language, and then set up time to negotiate with the union after that.
Okay. Does that sound good? Okay. All right,
So we're prepared to do that?
from the subcommittee?
But I have to wonder if Russ received the information from Brad. He was going to send it to you. You should have had it, the new document yesterday.
I did.
Yep.
Russ says, he's shaking his head yes.
I saw the thumbs up.
Mike has his hands raised, and then Jeannie.
Julie, I'm going to recuse myself from any negotiation discussion, just for conflict of interest reasons. Okay?
Okay,
But there isn't, because we have,
and this includes support staff.
Yes.
I have a question.
Jeannie was next.
no, I'm okay.
Okay.
I believe, oh, I'm sorry, I believe that there was some discussion last night, correct me if I'm wrong, Raina, about the subcommittee meeting on Tuesday
Yes.
to do the MOU between the two bargaining units.
That was for, to discuss the guidelines for gatherings at the schools.
Oh, okay, I thought we were gonna discuss that, the what?
Well, yeah, I guess I was unsure of the process for the MOU. I thought we'd have an MOU to discuss and vote on tonight, but we haven't reached that point, so.
We've
We're
actually been waiting. We had a conversation with Russ and Patricia and
So
Brad.
there was a lag in getting the language back from your field representative.
Yeah, we
So
didn't have a
we-
draft
there was
to
a- there was a-
review.
We were waiting on that,
Yeah.
and as soon as we got that, we acted.
Right.
So, okay.
And so now we're just waiting for a time so that we can all
Yes.
meet together.
Yep. Okay. So we can certainly go into executive session to discuss what we received and what the subcommittee discussed last evening. Okay.
Question? Is the athletic director under or in the support staff contract?
No.
No,
So-
it's a run-on kind
Okay,
of.
so-
Athletic director is actually in
It's actually-
professional staff right now.
So is he under in the
Contract.
teacher's contract?
Yes.
Okay, because I was wondering why, okay, that, it was confusing.
Yes.
I think it's because I've been here 20 years, and the athletic director has been the,
A faculty member.
it has been a faculty member, has been usually the PE teacher. And so this is the first time that that's not happening. So we never really gave it any consideration to take it out as a separate position.
So he's listed under stipends in the teacher's collective bargaining agreement? As a stipend? Okay.
Okay.
We have to, no,
We have to move to.
Just make a
vote
motion?
to go into
Yeah,
executive.
I was
Yes.
just going to make a motion.
But, yep, but,
And you're not going to vote on the athletic director?
my goodness.
Well,
I don't even see the,
we
ath-
could come back to vote on the athletic director.
I don't
the
see the
athletic
athletic
director
director
one.
information.
Good.
Okay,
Is there
okay.
an MOU?
So no, so we're not going to vote on the athletic director language either. We need to clarify that as well.
Because of,
Because we don't have it this evening, so.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Well, we still have. Okay, as long as Jim and Robin. Yep, okay.
Well, is,
Thank you.
is Jim
Oh, Jim,
participating?
hey Renee.
Yeah, Jim can.
Jim is not right. Jim, I believe that you will have to recuse yourself because we're discussing the athletic director MOU. Is that correct, Russell?
Well, it sounds like we're not discussing anything at this point. Are we just adjourning?
I cannot vote, but I can certainly give information.
Okay. All right. Robin?
Okay, I got confused. Why are we going into executive session then tonight?
Oh. To discuss what the subcommittee, the negotiation subcommittee discussed yesterday with their meeting regarding collective bargaining. Sorry, Russ, do you want me to, are you gonna join by, okay. Okay, so we now have,
Do we have to do a motion?
We need a motion.
well, I just want to make sure we have enough people. We do, correct?
We do.
Because Jim's not able to vote.
6, 7. We're 7 in the room.
Okay, and then Robin.
And then Robin.
Okay,
makes 8.
okay. So, you'd like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
We have to read the whole thing.
Return into open session
Okay,
upon completion.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay.
Do we need
Stephanie,
to read the whole language?
do I read that first or when we go in?
Oh, no, what?
That's why, we're
Okay,
moving to
okay.
make for those reasons.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
the motion has been made to move to executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the teachers, support personnel, and athletic director if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body and the chair so declares. And then we will return to open session. So we will go ahead and vote.
Stephanie Winslow, Northfield, yes.
Jeannie Milton, Bernardston, yes.
Karen O'Neill Leiden, yes.
Ethan Swartz, Warwick, yes.
Michelle Druso, Leiden, yes.
Rita Dastu, Northfield, yes.
Robin Knight, Leiden, yes.
I saw Robin
Robin Knight, Leiden, yes.
and Jim.
Jim, yes.
He can go in and he can hear the discussion, just not vote. And Julie Burke, Northfield, yes. Okay. So I'll just wait, Tyler. You can let me know. Hey, Russ. That's a good idea. Okay. I'm just waiting for Tyler to.
Our audio is tied to the live stream. So I'm just trying to think of how I can separate not streaming executive session. But the people in the meet can still hear and communicate. Which, by the
Can
way,
they
I'm
call
also
in?
going, if I'm gonna have to leave the room, like I have to just set it at something and hope it functions.
Can they join by phone? Would that help?
It might.
Well, I have Russell here. Perhaps Robin could call.
She has my number.
Robin, if you could call Michelle. And then Jim can call Jeannie, or Jeannie can call Jim.
Jim could call Jeannie.
Jim, are you able to call Jeannie from your phone?
I can give him 48%. If it lasts long enough.
Why am I calling Jeannie?
Yeah.
So, Tyler's not able to kind of separate so that you will be able to hear and participate without the live stream happening at the same time.
Okay.
So we were wondering if you could call Jeannie's cell phone and you could hear the meeting that way.
Yeah, give me the number.
He would need your number.
Can I just say it?
Or do you have
Are we
anyone's?
live streaming right now?
Yes.
Oh,
It's still open session right now.
Jim, do you have anyone else's phone number?
No.
I have Jim's number.
okay, Robin.
I'll just
Okay.
Julie.
Okay. So,
Michelle,
just
am
one
I
quick
supposed to
update.
leave
One
this
quick
meeting?
update. I just spoke with Russell. He's really feeling like if we're not able to vote this evening, this probably isn't the best format for this, given the fact that we're not able to
Julie.
enter into executive session with the live stream still running.
If people do
Yo,
have
Julie.
phones, like if those people are able to communicate with their phones, I can kind of like leave the meet, which, well, like that window, I can close that window. And so that everybody else who's seeing the stream, it's just a black screen. In that way, if everyone calls into the meet, then they can communicate with you guys verbally, and it's not going out
Yeah.
onto Facebook.
I think it seems a bit complicated, and given the
Right,
fact,
it didn't
yeah.
really dawn on me, like, you know, the
We'll probably
trying
need
to
to
separate
ensure
one thing
that
but not the other.
executive sessions are, people really need to attend in person.
If we're gonna have an
Yeah.
executive
Okay.
session, yeah.
We still have enough.
Yeah, we have.
But if they
but-
want to
The other
participate.
option is also, again, me closing this window and then you unmuting your laptop, and
Oh, I see.
using that to communicate.
And they could
that
communicate?
should work.
Okay.
Because then it eliminates what I'm sending out to
Okay.
Facebook, because essentially, I can't separate what I'm sending to Facebook and what the audio in here that I'm sending out to them. But if you eliminate my window, now that just cuts anything going out, that
We-
make sense?
Yeah.
And
So Robin, you
the
can go back on.
Only other thing is that
computer.
when I come back in, I would need to rejoin the meeting and then put the window back
Do you
up
hear me?
and stuff.
Yeah.
the
I
only
mean, it
thing.
is, in the interest of time, it's 9:10 now.
I know.
Sorry to throw
No,
such
that's
a wrench
okay.
into it.
Are we meeting next week?
Yeah.
We do need
We are
to.
meeting on the 16th,
Yeah.
full
Yeah.
committee?
Is there a vote?
There's not a vote
That
this.
happens after this?
No.
Well,
No, we
we
can
can't-
only vote
we
to
won't be able to
adjourn.
vote.
I mean,
Oh.
So Robin's going back on
you
that.
can, I think in the language, you can add voting to adjourn to the executive session, and then I can just end the Facebook stream
Yeah,
completely because
Right.
according to the
For this
public,
purpose, though, we said we
nothing
were
else
going
happens.
back.
We said we were gonna
We
return
said
to
we
open
would return
session.
tonight, so.
Yeah.
'Cause then if that works, I can leave everything up the way it is, walk away, end the Facebook stream, and then
Yeah,
nobody's
well,
hearing it besides you
I
guys.
think
Russ,
it's
what
for
is
the-
your, what
for
is
the
your
future,
guidance
right,
here? Should
yeah.
we scrap this for this evening? Yeah. Okay, so, Russ's advice is to do this on the 16th, once
Alright.
we are clear. Okay, thank you, Russ.
Did we ask?
Yes, I will.
him- we-
Okay,
did
thanks.
we-
All right, yeah.
Bernard, did we ask him if he's available next Tuesday?
We did not. Yeah, so we.
He just.
So
he
I
just said-
apologize for not understanding the process.
No, and I want to
thought-
apologize as well.
And we're still live right now.
Yes, yep, but I just want to apologize to everyone here and to the community. I felt like I may have been missing something on the, when I read this language. And so I know now to certainly clarify. I thought that maybe I was just personally missing something that, like I was just misunderstanding how it was read, but.
And if everything had gone last night the way it was intended, we would have been all set with this.
In order to proceed, I see.
But also figuring out the live stream with the executive session, et cetera. Certainly, we could go, well, then they couldn't join us, but in the past, for executive session, we've gone into another room.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
Yep.
makes it easier.
Right.
Yes.
In some respects.
If we're all here in person.
Yes,
So where have you typically gone? Because that would be good to.
right there.
There's a
Yeah, we will
conference
room.
room.
Oh, okay. So that will be a good plan moving forward. Robin, your hand is raised?
Yeah, I was just going to end you on a good note. I thought the meeting tonight, I enjoyed the presentation from the financial people, and I enjoyed the superintendent's report, and I just feel like, I feel like we're really making progress, Julie, and I want to thank you for your leadership. 'Cause
Oh,
I think-
thank you, Robin.
I think
Thank
we've
you.
come a long way since last
appreciate that.
November. So-
All right, so we did vote to move into executive session, which we weren't able to do.
So how do we address that?
Yeah, so I think that we should vote,
Do we rescind the motion?
Yeah, whoever put the motion.
But people left based on the fact that we were gonna be going into executive session.
that's true.
We're
Yeah.
just gonna add it. They won't miss it.
Yeah.
No, they're not
Right,
gonna
we didn't
miss
have it,
anything.
right.
You're right.
Reconvening in public.
Right.
Okay.
So just for clarification, we will be meeting again on September 16th. So tomorrow we will have, I will work with Joanne, to get that posting and the agenda for that meeting out promptly.
And you know that the negotiations subcommittee is meeting on the 14th.
14th, Tuesday the
At 6.
14th, okay.
At 6.
At 6.
Okay. So,
Two places at once here.
we also did have the staff changes on the agenda here. Let me just, I'm gonna send a quick message to Mike if he would like to, Mike and David, I don't have David's number.
We have the staff changes.
The staff changes seem to be informational, you know, just on this list here. I did want to ask the committee, though, you know, I would really like to know what everyone would like to hear from me in between meetings. So for instance, if there is a resignation or something that I'm made aware of as the chair, would you like me to share that with you in between meetings? Okay. I just want to preface it, but we just have to make sure that we don't hit reply all so that we're not ever at risk of any open meeting law violation. So, Michelle.
Well, I would like to know administratively of any resignations. I mean, I wouldn't want to know every resignation because I don't know
I'm typically not
everyone.
involved with anything outside of administration, but
But when you have someone in administration, because we had some things going on in our facilities that were of concern, and it shocked me to look at this sheet 2 days ago, and I saw that there was a resignation. I'm like, oh my God, then who's handling everything that's going on at Bernardston Elementary and all that? So, you know, I was like, I can't believe Patricia's doing all of that.
There's a team,
Yeah.
there's a good team.
Has that position been posted?
It has been posted, and I had a preliminary conversation with one candidate. We're bringing that candidate back for an interview with a team, and my understanding is we have a second applicant.
Okay.
The,
So,
facilities.
you know, and I welcome that feedback at any time, I truly do. I want to be able to give you what you need, you know, as readily as possible, so. And then, is there anything else here on the agenda? There's miscellaneous updates, good and welfare. Jeannie, did you have something else?
Yeah, I had a question. I was noticing way back in January that the psychologist resigned. Was that position filled, or?
It doesn't say that there's a replacement, so I'm not sure.
That was back in January. And I'm just,
I can find out.
I like having the dates of resignation here. It helps.
Yeah. We can certainly, I'm sure, right, Patricia, find out where.
I'll find out about the psychologist position, and we can add a column for dates on this sheet.
Okay, thank you. Because, yeah, this is from July 1st. This is going until a year from now. Yeah, I'm looking at the date at the top for staff changes.
Okay. All right, so, Michelle?
I would, for good and welfare, I'd like to thank Pat. Do you mind being
Patricia.
called Pat? Oh,
Thank you.
Patricia. Okay. I'd like to thank you for your leadership. I shared with the negotiation subcommittee last evening that staff in the schools have told me that Patricia went and had staff meetings, and they appreciated the way she looked them in the eye and spoke to them. And that, to me, meant something. And I know you've been dealing with a lot these past couple of weeks, and I just commend you for your honesty and candor with us. You have a very calming way of speaking, and it's good to know that you are handling things. So I'd like to thank you.
Michelle. I really appreciate that. Thank you. There's been a super team, so I'm happy. Thanks.
You know, I'm sure you stepped into a lot of stuff that you didn't see coming, and maybe even did wait. So for that, I personally want to thank you, because you have just addressed everything that's come your way with honesty and right up front, and you admit if you don't know something, but you know where to find out, and then you get back to the people that need to know. And that is just, to me, a smart person is one that can say, I don't know that information, but I will find out, get it, and get back to you.
Thank you, Jeannie. I
Because
appreciate
I
that.
think some of the smartest people are those that admit. And as we all get older,
Yeah.
it's a saving factor if we know where we can get the information we need.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So our next meeting will be on September 16th at 7 p.m. here in the library. I do hope that those will be able to, if we can attend in person, that is ideal. But certainly, given that we already know ahead of time that we will be having an executive session, I do think that it is wise to know that we have a separate space to go to. That way we can just make sure that we do so safely, so. I can entertain a motion to adjourn. Jeannie?
I'll gladly make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Stephanie?
Stephanie Winslow, Northfield, yes.
Jeannie Milton, Bernardston, yes.
Karen O'Neill, Leiden, yes.
Nathan Swarthmore, yes.
Michelle Jeruso, Leiden, yes.
Raina Dasty, Northfield, yes.
And Julie Berg, Northfield, yes.
Robin Knight,
All right,
Leiden, yes.
thank you very much. Oh, Robin, sorry, Robin. Here, and you gave me props, and I ignored you. I'm sorry. Thanks, Robin.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Raina, I'm going to try to do some minutes from our meeting last night.